Got one of those easy glide zippers, and it's not really gliding that easy. Oh,
okay. Wow. Like, yeah. How do you think all this?
Among some of the occupiers about seeking or forming some kind of intentional community is I think the phrase that they've been using.
what does that mean?
I actually don't know what specifically that involves, but it does, I think, involve finding a building, so some kind of covered, permanent type structure, which either would be purchased or would be rented. And several of the occupiers apparently are in discussions with that, in which I've not participated, so I'm not really informed enough to speak more about that.
What do you think y'all have achieved since you've been out here? What sort of point have you made?
Right, so that's a great question. I think that gets asked a lot, is what are we trying to accomplish and what have we accomplished since we've been
on the booms?
Well, we've certainly, I think, continued to make the suffering and severity of the multiple crises that our community, state, and nation and world face a burning issue. And I think that's really important, because all too easily in this soundbite age of 10-second or 20-second segments on the local news, for example, it's all too easy to lose sight of the economic, political, moral, environmental, multiple crises that we're all facing that affect Richmond very much. I mean, recently, a Brookings report called the Metro report that just came out in December listed Richmond among the 20 slowest recovering metropolitan areas in the U.S. It's second behind the Hampton Roads, Virginia beach area in the state.
Good morning, Richmond occupiers. Good morning, occupiers for the First Amendment, for economic justice, and for democracy. First off, Gene and I would like to thank you for accepting our invitation to join us on our front lawn. We really appreciate this. We want to make one thing clear, that this was no favor to you. It was an obligation to stand up for the First Amendment, to give an opportunity to send a message to my good neighbor every morning about the importance of keeping on the front burner the fact that Richmond is the capital of poverty in Virginia. And that is a disgrace, and it should be reckoned with. Also, to remind my good neighbor that economic justice is still a major problem, and to remind the whole city that democracy is under attack. And you deserve much credit for bringing these important issues to the attention of the city. I think I would be remiss if I did not commend Brookbury, my neighborhood, for the acceptance generally in the civil way in which they have responded to your presence. I think it also inspired them to take advantage of the First Amendment by writing a petition, and we think that this will be a cause for them to be further involved in matters that touch the community and the city. I So I know based on the General Assembly meeting that the movement will go on. All you have to do is recall what happened in the civil rights movement from Montgomery to Birmingham to Washington and in between Richmond. So just because you're moving from this site does not mean that the movement ends. We should also remember what Frederick Douglass said, that there can be no progress without struggle. So if we want to bring change, positive change to our communities and to our country and protect democracy, then we will have to act. We will have to act in the spirit of Frederick Douglass, who said, in order to become free, you must what? Agitate, agitate, agitate. So we will have to continue in the tradition of Frederick Douglass, of Dr. Martin Luther King, and in Virginia in the tradition of Y.T. Walker and the Reverend Curtis Harris. So we are just delighted to have hosted you. You have been perfect, a model of guests, standing for a high cause and doing it in a very respectful and dignified manner. At this point, I would like to have Jean to say a few words of appreciation for your presence.
I think I've met just about everybody, talked at least more than 5 minutes with everyone, and my goal as I move around the city is to let people know what incredible young people you are, how dedicated you are, to dispel the myths that so many people who are just simply uninformed, don't want to be informed, or are ignorant about who Occupy Richmond and who Occupy in general is. We believe in what you do because our values are aligned with what you do. And I am reminded, as Ray starts to tick off the historical references, I'm reminded of a speech that I read that Sojourner Truth, or a recap of a speech that she did, in which Sojourner Truth did, in which she said to a heckler, you know, he said, "I don't care any more about what you're doing than an old flea bite." And she said to him, "Well, you know what? Fleas biting strategically can make a heck of a difference on that old dog." So keep being fleas for justice, and we'll all get there one day in a country that believes that all of us have a right to life, good health, liberty, the opportunity to do what we need to do when we need to do it for the betterment of all. And so I'm very sad that you're leaving, but things must change, and go in peace, but know that we're here.
Love you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Such gracious
so much.
Deeply
A hawk flew over when you were speaking.
Victory! Deeply
Red tailed hawk.
grateful.
Thank you so much, sir.
Saturday has been
Red tailed hawk flew over and then landed in that tree. I don't know.
astounding.
Okay, there's some pastry and I'll buy it.
And if it's the real rinky-dink small stuff, might as well just get rid of it.
That's real rinky-dink small stuff?
To get organized, that's when the guys come down and